Have you ever wondered how you know if you're attracting your twin flame or if you're on the twin flame journey at all? Have you ever wondered if there are any signs or synchronicities that Spirit sends you to alert you that your twin flame journey is beginning? Well, we are here today to discuss and share with you guys some of the different signs and experiences that you may have when you are beginning your twin flame journey. So we are Twin Flames in Union. My name is Brooke.
My name is Danny, and we'd like to welcome you to
the Empire of Neutrality. Today, this is episode 1 for one of our own personal twin flame journey. Oh my God.
I know, right?
As well as, the signs for you guys. We wanted to do a list because we've been there, we've done it, we've journeyed it. We have talked to many, many other twin flames in union, and there are a lot of the same pieces, the same journeys, the same experiences, the same signs, the same awakenings that we have all gone through. So there seems to be an archetype or a pattern, a path, if you will, for people that are on the twin flame journey. So today we're going to give you the signs that your twin flame journey has begun, as well as share our own personal journey.
You guys have been asking for it, and this is how we're going to deliver. Kind of spices it up, gives you some knowledge in between. Oh, and we get to be vulnerable with you guys. I know you guys have been wanting us to be intimate, and here we go.
So yeah, go ahead and kick back, relax, enjoy the vibes, tune in, and receive from us a tangible list of signs that you can identify. But also, there's so much going on energetically behind the scenes when we connect in this space. We are also consciousness activators and energy workers. So just being in this space with us, being in a space of receptivity, trust, vulnerability, and intimacy, that can activate energies within you guys and even within us.
So pause this video, grab some snacks. We're going to be here for a while.
Yeah, get comfy.
Vape if you gotta.
We'll try not to make it too long, but with that being said, let's get started. So we're going to start off. There are 3 different little key points because we don't want the video to be too long. So we're going to start off with episode 1. Just 3 key points, 3 different signs that your twin flame journey is beginning. And the first one we're going to start off with, which I think everyone can recognize within the twin flame journey, is the first thing that happens is this spiritual awakening, right? We go through this spiritual awakening and we begin to challenge our belief systems. We begin to challenge our accepted belief structures, our thought forms, and our perceptions of our reality and what is possible.
There's something more to life, is the question you would ask. There is got to be something more than this. You're in a job, you work 12-hour shifts or 9 to 5, and it's just like, oh my God, you barely pay the bills and you've got enough left over for a pack of cigarettes. And that's about it, and it's just monotonous and you feel like there's something more. And you know that there's has to be. And you're like, how do I get there? You know what I mean? You ask that question. So in asking that question, you kind of spin it to how's the depths of who am I? You really ask, who the hell am I? And what do I really want to do? And that would make me feel better.
Why am I here?
Exactly.
Is there a purpose for
What
my life?
is my purpose? Yeah, that's a huge one that we've come across by pretty much everybody that has either gotten readings from us or what have you. And like that's the gateway, the door that opens to the journey.
So when it comes to the spiritual awakening part of the journey, when it comes to beginning to challenge your belief systems and what you have accepted to be true for you and what you have accepted to be true and possible in this life, once you start to challenge those things, some of the signs that you may receive, the synchronicities that you may receive from the universe, number one sign is angel numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Our favorite one on the twin flame journey, the 1111, right? And, when you're going through this awakening, those numbers, they can be so inspiring
and
motivating.
Haunting, too.
And haunting.
Oh, my God. What's with this number? It just follows me everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. To your twin flame journey where you're seeing them on license plates. You're seeing them on your receipts. You're seeing them on your phone bills. Your receipts from buying dinner, you're seeing them on the clocks, you're waking up at random times, 211, 311, 411, 511, 611, 777, 222, 111, right? All of these different numbers, 1144. That's a really good sign that you are stepping onto you have been called, baby. That's what it is. It's like, we agree to come into this life and to live as just a human for a little bit, see what it's like, without having conscious access to the soul's potential, right? We just navigate as a human and what we've been taught. But then when we begin to question things, when we begin to look more deeply at things, when we begin to grow our awareness of our world and our internal world, right? So the angel numbers they are a really powerful sign and a really good sign that you have been called by the universe. It's time. It's time to question things. It's time to take a look at yourself. It's time to reevaluate your life and how unfulfilling or fulfilling you have created it to be, right? So one of the next things are synchronicities in general. Right? It isn't just angel numbers, but songs on the radio. You maybe begin to start having conversation with spirit, with the universe, with the god or goddesses that you are awakening to, with the universal consciousness that you're awakening to, the angels, right? Maybe you start to ask them questions. You start to build a relationship with these energies. And let's say, you've been having a bad day and you tell spirit, you just cry, you break down in the car maybe, and you're like, I'm fucking sick of my life. I'm sick of not feeling good enough. I need more, spirit. I need more. I'm not okay. I'm not happy. And then a song comes on the radio what's the one you sent, Nicole?
Oh, you're going to get through this.
You're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. Right? That song starts playing on the radio. You can't fucking deny it. In the middle of you crying, tears streaming down your face, that song comes on the radio. And just internally, you just feel it. That's the thing with all these signs and synchronicities that the universe sends. It's not just a number. It's not just a song. You feel it inside of your soul as a calling, right? As a direct message from God to you that it has been received. You feel it in your body.
Also with synchronicities, I saw manifestations just taking place and snapping off before me. There was one, I was in the depths of my dark night of the soul, and I'm like, I've got bills to pay, spirit, and I'm broke. I got no fucking means of income. I don't have a job, and I need $1,000 tomorrow, or the mortgage is gonna bounce.
Mm-hmm.
And I screamed that at the top of my lungs, and I fell asleep crying, and I woke up. and there was $1,000 in my bank account. And my dad gave it to me. And my dad doesn't give me money ever. Has never in his life gave me money without like me asking for it even. You know what I mean? And to me, that right there, that was the biggest synchronicity I could have ever gotten from Spirit, because it was an answer, right, to my cries and my pleas. And that synchronicity was like, oh shit. You know, there's something more to this.
Yeah. Same here. Manifestations where, like, it's funny, things just start to change. It's like when you look around, everything looks normal. It looks like your same job. It looks like your same friends, your same family. But something just feels different. People start doing things that they've never done before. People start saying things that they've never said before. People start giving you opportunities that they've never given you before. Well, for me, it was always, work. I had 3 different jobs: waitressing, bartending, managing at the what are those things called? The clubhouse, country club. Right, 3 different jobs. Okay. And I was tired. I didn't have time to even make myself a good dinner. I didn't have time to like clean my house the way it deserved to be clean. I didn't have time to give myself attention. Didn't have time to take care of my dog, make time for my dog. And then, I told Spirit, if I didn't have to feel like I was working 3 different jobs and barely getting by, if I just had one good job, I could take more time to figure out what I want to do, or, make more time for the things that matter to me. And then, I said that I was actually working at the country club as a waitress. And then after I had that conversation with Spirit told me to take the leap of faith, to quit one of my jobs. I kept 2 of them, but I quit one of them. So I quit. And I just had my 2 jobs, bartending and waitressing at the country club. And Spirit just told me to trust that. Even though I was taking a cut in my pay, I was like, okay, I'm going to take that leap of faith. And then a little bit later, my experience with work was I worked my ass off and I never got any credit for it. Like, people just expected it from me. And then they either expected it from me or they shamed me when I didn't do it. Right? It's like everyone else in the restaurant could do everything half-assed, but I couldn't. They wanted to come to me and say things to me when I wasn't picking up everybody's slack, but they didn't want to acknowledge me for working as hard as I did. And I always struggled with that, man. No one ever saw me. No one ever acknowledged me. No one ever gave me credit. I felt really undervalued. And then I started working at the country club and people started to notice me. My boss, my managers, they acknowledged me for how hard of a worker I was, and I never had that before. And it was special to me because it was something I always wanted, not for validation, but because it's just the truth. I was a hard worker. I was dependable. I was reliable. I picked up other people's shifts. When they called out for bullshit reasons, I stayed late after work 2-3 hours to make sure everything was good because other people didn't. You know what I mean? I always went that extra mile. And finally, when I started working at the country club, I was acknowledged for it. And then that turned into, I got a manager job there, where not only was I acknowledged for my reliability and my hard work, my consistency, and, my good attitude, my good work ethic, but they also promoted me to where I was in charge of the other waitresses. They trusted me, right? They saw something in me. So yeah, that was one of like my really first big manifestations, and it may sound small, but like it was something I'd always wanted. And when I started to have that relationship with Spirit, it was something that I was given,
Right. When we ask, and even if it's not necessarily in line with your spiritual purpose and your spiritual path, right? At that time, if you ask, you'll be given it and you'll get a taste of your dreams. You know what I mean? And this is what you wanted. Well, this is what you get. Mm-hmm. And later on down the road, it might not turn out that way. We're just
and it's not even always in the beginning. Like, being a manager of the servers, of the waitresses, that wasn't my like dream, right? But it was the frequency I was tapping into. That was what was so significant in that moment. It was me stating to spirit what I wanted to experience.
And it was a fulfillment.
Taking action and then actually seeing that manifestation come to life. Mm-hmm. It was really stepping into my creator energy. And I think that's what was most important and most significant, because it's like you go from a toxic relationship to a really good relationship. And if you don't ever experience the good feeling in a relationship, you settle for the shitty relationship, right? Because you don't know any different. You don't know how to perceive any differently. Therefore, you don't know how to manifest any differently. So yeah, that was one of my manifestations. I'm glad you brought that up.
Beautiful, baby.
So let's see. There's a couple more when it comes to spiritual awakening and challenging the belief systems, and that's dreams. You will have dreams. Dreams about your twin flame. Dreams about past lives. Did you have any dreams or anything before we met?
Not as much as you did. I think not as to the depths, man.
Yeah, that one I've noticed, that one varies from twin flame to twin flame relationship, where some of us literally have dreams and see our twin flame in our dreams. We've never met them before, but we see their face. We know exactly what they look like, right? Or some of us have dreams of, it feels like a past life, and you see this person in the dream that you've never known, but there's this deep history between you two. It feels very significant. Maybe even I had this one friend that's a twin flame where he kept having the same dream over and over about this girl. And in the dream, it always ended in tragedy. Like, I remember this one time he shared with me that he knew it was his twin flame in the dream. He'd never seen her before, doesn't know what she looks like in this life. And what kept happening was, in the dream, his twin flame, it was a woman, she would get taken and held captive by some guys. They would take her, beat her, and they were separated forever. He never got to see her again, and he just kept having that dream over and over. And then eventually the dream shifted where he was able to tell her sorry, because it's like in the dream what we were talking about was like, I have this history with my twin where we're always separated, and I always feel shameful. I always feel regret. I always feel like I let her down. And because of that intensity of emotion, it just keeps repeating lifetime to lifetime. But Spirit was trying to show him that so that it didn't happen in this lifetime. He had to be able to look at what was happening between them and forgive himself.
Or my dreams were more of the feeling. I couldn't really see her face, but it would be a distortion of or whatever, but the feeling that was there within the dream carried into the 3D. And then when we did meet, I was like, wow, there's something there. And it was like almost a sinking, like a feeling of relax and like relief and true essence of love, but also like, oh shit. You know what I mean? The journey begins, even though I thought the journey had already begun. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes to dreams, Spirit also just mentioned this. When you're looking for the sign of whether you are beginning or have begun your twin flame journey, how you can begin to recognize if you're attracting your twin flame. Sometimes the dream will be about your twin flame. It'll be about your past lives. It'll be about awakening to the twin flame journey. But also, a good sign that you are stepping into your soul's path, your soul mission. You're stepping onto you're stepping into your purpose in this life, whether that be the twin flame journey or whatever. Another thing that'll happen is in the dream state, you will be doing shadow work So there will be times where you have dreams that feel really crazily, incredibly real, raw. They trigger every emotion in your body. They trigger your fears. You know, there was a long time in my journey where almost every single night it felt like I was having sleep paralysis. And it was me embarking on the journey of saving my soul. I was fighting for my soul every single night because I had gotten myself into a really, really toxic, dense energy, a really, really toxic situation with drugs, with sex, with people, okay? And, all of that regret, all of that shame, all of that guilt, it was illuminated to me a lot of times in my dreams. Where, like, at night I would have sleep paralysis, and it was the reflection of me fighting for my soul, fighting for my life. Because a lot of those things, it was life or death at sometimes. At certain points, were like, I didn't know if I was going to make it. So look out for these dreams where how you can recognize when it's just a dream and when it's a dream where you're doing shadow work and you're healing from the inside is when you wake up, you will still feel all of those sensations in your body. It'll be like a full body activation where even when you're out of that dream, you are still feeling inside of your body all of the sensations that you were feeling in the dream. It carries over. And that's how you can kind of recognize that in your dream space, you are doing a lot of work, a lot of healing, and a lot of purging. And then the last part for the spiritual awakening is your gifts will begin to come online.
One of my gifts that started coming online right away that I noticed was that manifestation piece, right? So it bleeds into this as well. A lot of you might have heard the story of when I was traveling 5 hours out of town. 2 hours in, my transmission started acting up, and I just gave it to God. I was like in a state of, within my dark night of the soul, I was in a state of, a bad state of mind. And I was, didn't have the capability of, even figuring out how to, if the car broke down, what to do. And I was going into dead zones, and the phones wouldn't be working and stuff like that. And so I just said, Spirit, like I cannot trust myself to get through anything that would come about with this. So I said, that's on you. I'm letting go of all my worries. And that car coasted into the Nissan parking lot after my 5-hour trip, died. And
died in the parking lot.
And I didn't have any means of paying for any kind of work or anything. There was 1,000 kilometers left on my warranty, which was extended from 5 to 10 years, and it was like the 9th year. You know what I mean? But it was all covered for.
Or you're saying your gift that came online was your capacity to generate manifestations, right? Which is a gift. It took me a while to know that like psychic gifts and abilities aren't just, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, right? Clear hearing of spirit, clear feeling of spirit, clear knowing of knowledge from spirit, right? It's not just the clairs. It's also manifestation that is a gift, a template, if you will, that is given to certain individual souls to be able to assist them on their journey. Another gift that is very dominant within the twin flame journey is the gift of being empathic, being able to hear. See, a lot of people think that being empathic just means that you can feel other people. It's not just that. The gift of being empathic is being able to hear people's thoughts, be able to feel people's emotions, and actually, as you evolve and train that gift, you can actually then begin to hear the voice of the soul within a person. You can begin to hear their subconscious, which is why Danny and I, we have this gift. And it's one of our most significant gifts that we have as mentors and coaches, because it gives us the ability to talk to someone and they can give us a very surface level problem of what's going on. But because we have that empathic gift, we can actually hear into the soul. We can hear into the subconscious, which gives us the root of what is going on the surface, right?
You can also really sense their higher purpose, their higher selves, and you can see them as their true essence. And it can be kind of disturbing because you know this immense beauty that's before you in this person, yet they're not at their fullest potential or even close. And that's where we try and help people, and it blows up in our face, and we try and give support and like really trying to nurture the soul, but yet that soul isn't at that place, right?
Right. And what Danny, I think, is speaking on specifically, and I want to make it really clear because what he's saying is so important right now. For those of us that are on the twin flame journey, a lot of the times we sacrifice our boundaries for our twin flame because we can see into their soul. We can feel into their soul. We can see into the potential of who they truly are. And we allow that vision, that knowing of who they truly are, to make our decisions for us. And that leads to abuse sometimes, right? And, I just wanted to share that because that's really something we see a lot.
For real. But you'll notice that that's what you may be doing is you're always the helper, and you always want to provide, and you're over providing at times, or in relationships. You're over providing, and you're not really giving the other person a space to give, and you don't really see that, receiving piece just yet, kind of thing, because your empathic gifts are on overdrive. So, and you just want to help.
Beautiful. Amen. All right. So that concludes the first signs and experiences that can happen when it comes to your twin flame journey, the spiritual awakening and challenging belief systems. So now we're going to move into a really, really complex piece of awakening to the twin flame journey, being activated as a twin flame and stepping into mission, getting that call from spirit. This is one of the signs and experiences that we have seen in every single twin flame, and people even that don't identify as twin flames. Every single person we have ever met that is on a spiritual awakening journey goes through this massive breakdown and unforeseen heartache.
Dark night of the soul, anybody?
Yeah.
So, massive breakdown and unforeseen heartache that just smacks you in the face.
It's surreal, and I've seen every single person go through this, man.
So things like losing your job, breaking up with the one that you truly loved, and just like it slides downhill like nobody's business out of fucking nowhere, and it's a catastrophe that just surmounting, leading you into mental breakdown. I lost my job, I lost my woman, I
lost my house, I lost my kids, I lost my friends.
Huge losses that just leads you down this slippery slope into a depressive state. You might have even experienced near-death experiences that led you to that moment. In my lifetime, I mean, aside from the job loss, breakup, and mental breakdown, not really felt to me like a near-death experience.
Right, and hopefully we'll go back and kind of share, because we can share on each of these topics, personal stories.
Right.
But just for the sake of this video, we've just chosen a few of our stories to add in, okay?
And if you want to check out my twin flame journey video that I did in 2019 or 2018, you can look up there and click the link and check that out as well.
Oh, I was like, what's you pointing at?
Yeah, it should be right here, right there. So what I wanted to speak on was my near-death experiences. I had two within 6 months. The first one was my transport truck accident, I quit my job to buy a brand new tractor trailer. Everyone said I couldn't do it. Was I talking about that manifestation piece? I bought it in a month with no money. Zero money. 3 months later, that thing flipped on an S-bend going uphill. It flipped, slid 200 feet uphill, went through 27 guardrails and down a 150-foot cliff. I survived. Actually, I got up, walked out the windshield, crawled up the 150 cliff, and directed all kinds of people to get me to the hospital.
Insane.
It was a whole mess.
Like, who takes a transport truck off a how long foot drop cliff?
Yeah,
100 and something foot cliff, gets out through the windshield, and climbs up the fucking cliff. That's crazy.
Yeah, not to mention it rolled 1.5 times.
That's
so,
insane.
You know what I mean?
To survive that is a miracle.
Yeah, for real. So that happened. And then 6 months later, after I was, I got out of the hospital that night, but I was kind of shaken after that because my entire world and my income and everything was gone.
I can imagine.
And I spent some time at a trailer park, kind of my buddy owned, and I was helping him with that. And I ended up, we were in a water fight, and I slid into the screen door.
So was this another near-death experience? This is my
second near-death experience.
Okay, so the first one was the transport truck. Now this is his second near-death experience.
6 months later, I put my arm through one pane glass, screen door window, and slit my arm wide open. I was running away from him, and so I thought, well, if I couldn't get in the house, then I'll run into the field. And as I was running, I felt something smacking up against.
I hate the story.
Up against there,
God.
And I looked down. It was my muscle, and I threw my muscle back in, and I was flown to Toronto via air ambulance. That's a whole story in itself. But that was my second near death. The first one, I was like, okay, I guess that's the end of the trucking thing. Maybe that wasn't for me. The second near-death experience was, okay, Spirit, you got my attention.
Right, like a wake-up call?
Yeah. What? I am absolutely at your will, and whatever is for me and my purpose, I will explore to the ends to find it. And I did everything. I went on spiritual journeys. I went to school because I vowed to myself I would always go to school. I did things that aligned to what I thought I was to do. And along that stretch, I picked up more clues.
But followed your heart.
I did.
Right. And that's the thing. In your beginning of your spiritual journey, you will be led to certain people, certain opportunities, certain jobs even maybe, where maybe they're not that end-all be-all passion for you, but they are really crucial stepping stones that really shape you to being the person, to having the tools, to having the structures needed to what your service is.
Right. Losing my job, it was a part of the manifestation thing. I told Spirit, I want to work here. My daddy worked here. I want to work here. I want to fulfill that part of my life. They gave it to me just like that and took it away. Same with my breakup. It was with a friend of 7 years. We went into a relationship, and then not even a month and a half later, everything fell apart around us, and it was gone.
These are all pertaining to the journey of massive breakdown and unforeseen heartache. So Danny went over losing your job, right? Going through a breakup, mental breakdown, where even you may find yourself institutionalized for a little bit, like almost at rock bottom type shit. But you know what's crazy? These breakdowns, the first one that you go to, it'll feel like rock bottom. It will. It'll feel like you have nothing else to lose. but it's not even rock bottom yet.
Oh no.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Right?
I went through 2 mental breakdowns within a year because it wasn't rock bottom yet.
It feels like it though. And you think that it is. But for whatever reason, well, this is what Spirit's saying right now. That happens because you have to have that destruction of everything that was not true to who you are. All of the mask that you put on, like Danny said, he wanted to work at this place because he wanted to be like his dad. But it wasn't really true in his heart to what he wanted to do, right? You know, all the masks that we put on, all of the hats, all of the roles that we have obligated ourselves to participate in, all of the hats that we have given ourselves, you know, obligated ourselves to be for other people. You know, all of the expectations that people have put on us, our parents, people we look up to, and even ourselves at times. These massive breakdowns happen because it is literally tearing down all of the old structures, like the Tower card in tarot. It's like a lightning bolt comes in and just rips everything out. And then you have this new ground to work from. But a lot of us, we have a lot of baggage, if you will. Ancestral baggage, baggage from our parents, baggage from relationships, baggage from jobs, you know, baggage from trauma and things that have happened to us, sexual abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, the list goes on, right? Losses, you know, and sometimes it takes more than one breakdown to really get to that core of you. And that's why these breakdowns happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, pertaining to the breakdown, a couple of other things that are signs and experiences that you may have is a life-changing experience that inspires you to live differently. Now, this can show up in many ways, right? You know, between us, it showed up completely differently, and with other twins that we've talked to. But whether it's a person that comes into your life that just shakes you to your core, man. This part of the journey, all I keep seeing from Spirit is the Tower, Brooke. It's the Tower moment where, like, unforeseen change, dramatic, what was I about to say? I don't even know what I was about to say. But just like out of nowhere, it feels like. Out of fucking nowhere. Just like with the manifestations, out of nowhere, you get these opportunities, right? Beautiful. But also out of nowhere, you get these breakdowns. You meet these people that come into your life and change your life, change your perception of what you thought life was forever. And there's no going back after that. That's the thing. That's what you need to look for specifically. Those experiences and those people that when they come into your life, nothing is the same after that. So I know what I was going to say. Why all of a sudden I had the word and then it was just gone, right? That's what it feels like. Whenever this person or this experience takes place, it leaves you completely like blown away. Like, you don't know what to think anymore. You don't know how to feel anymore. You know, you don't know what to expect in the future. But whether it's a person or like Danny's was going off a cliff, it's something that happens that is so significant or shakes you to your core so intensely that there's no going back to the old life, the old way of being, the old perception. There's no going back, right? So that's kind of how you can identify that. I think Danny's example for this one was pretty good. I guess I'll add a little piece of what my massive breakdown, the first one, what that looked like. I was in a relationship for 4 years. We broke up. We were friends after that. A couple months went by after we broke up. We started to be friends again. And then we started having sex again. And then we started eating together. You know, staying together, sleeping together, everything. Like we were dating pretty much. We were actually broken up, but together on our anniversary. Like, I don't know what we had going on. But, you know, I lost my relationship and my best friend died in a car accident, and that was really devastating for me because in my younger years, I had such a hard time connecting with women. It's like women were always, it's like I had a sign on my head that said bitch, and people just assumed I was a bitch or judged me or were just mean, hateful, made up rumors, always starting drama, always belittling me. Like it was just always some tension. It was very hard to build a intimate relationship with women when I was younger. And I had my part in that too, right? But that was my experience. And then I met my friend Sarah and everything changed. I had a girl that I could trust. That's the thing. Ladies out there, y'all know what it's like. When you find a female that you can trust, that's a fucking ride or die, right? And, we were the type of friends where we could sit in a car together and just talk. And sometimes just cry. And be so fulfilled in that relationship, We didn't have to be out and doing this and that or in front of all these people or getting drunk or partying. Like we could literally sit by with ourselves, just her and I in a car in a random parking lot, and it was special for us. So she passed away and I lost her, which was really hard. And I remember being mad at God and saying, like, of all the people in the world, why my best friend? Like, I finally found a girl that I can trust. I finally found a female that loved me for me, that made me better, and you took her from me. I was really fucking angry. So I lost her. And then that job that I told you about, where I finally was being recognized, I became a manager. I was working in the office one day, making the schedule, and the girl in the office had let me use her computer. Well, I smoked cigarettes, and I had forgotten my cigarettes, but she had just came in and pulled a cigarette out of her little bag thing she had in her desk. And then she went to smoke, and I was like, well, I hadn't smoked a cig in like 2 hours. So I opened the drawer, and I get a cig out. And I didn't know this, but apparently that same day, spirit works in really funny ways. That same day, she was going around upset and a mess because she couldn't find like her wallet with money in it, and she thought someone had stolen it. So it just so happened that the day that I went into her bag and took a cigarette out was the same day, you'll have to excuse the helicopter, was the same day that she was freaking out thinking someone stole from her. She found the wallet, by the way, at her house in her bedroom. But she went and told my manager, my boss, and I got fired from that job. So I lost my boyfriend, I lost my best friend, I lost the best job I ever had with making the most money I ever had. I lived with my sister, we lost our house, I had to move in with my mom. There's just a few little things. Okay? There's a few little things.
And so if your entire life is falling apart, well,
it's a good sign.
It's a good sign.
Believe it or not, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
And so just one of the last little things we had for a massive breakdown and unforeseen heartache is this feeling of nostalgia or unfulfillment in your life that really inspires you to seek new experiences and new things. Like for Danny, he started seeking, like native traditions and like different healing modalities, and he started to seek Nick and Dove and different ways to deal with his mental disability or his emotional turmoil. Instead of just going to a psychiatrist, he began to kind of seek alternative medicines. Right.
One of the big things that helped me seek was relationships and their failures. One of the relationships I had with a girl was like we felt this connection, and over 10 years of time she always pushed me away, because she had a boyfriend or whatever, and I was okay with that. I wanted to keep that distance between us because I wanted to be friends, and I wanted to figure out that piece. Well, over time, I found, I was like, what is this weird connection? We'd always connect eyes at a party. It doesn't matter where we were. When we glanced over, we connected eyes, with each other. And I looked online. I found the twin flame journey and all the synchronicities, and then I found empath. So it was that connection that really got me in tune with, oh, I'm an empath and I'm on the twin flame journey. The second one was my ex, and all the signs and synchronicities were there. And when she left, I was like, oh shit, that might have been my twin flame that I just boot the fuck out of the door. But that placed me into the hands of, and I found Nick and Dove with Twin Flame Revolution, and it also opened me up to tarot on YouTube. So there were gifts after the end of the breakdowns that set me onto the right path.
That's a good point.
The next and new path.
I didn't even think about that. That's true. After all the breakdowns, there were these blessings that came in. It's almost like they stripped me of everything, but they also gave me things to replace it that were better for me. Whether that was relationships, a job, whatever. Because around that time is when I met you. It's when I met the tribe. But yeah. So another way you can look at the massive breakdown phase is almost like the phase of rebellion as well. Because it's like, I've tried fucking everything, Brooke. I've done all the jobs. I went to college. I did this. I did that. I did all of these fucking things. I've been the party girl. I've been the professional. I've been the good girlfriend. And nothing is working. Nothing makes me feel happy at the end of the day. So then you start to seek that spirituality, the metaphysical world, right? So the last little point we have for you guys for today, and y'all let us know how you enjoyed this video. So the last little point is a spark of interest and drive to study or research the spiritual and metaphysical world. Oh, I guess we really just led right into that point, didn't we? It truly
just flows right in.
Right, there you go. That's how the journey is. You don't see it coming, but you're just right on it, riding it, don't know where you're going, but you end up right where you need to be.
Right, and then how does, in the depths of depression and a dark night of the soul, how does that lead to entering into flow? What the hell is that all about? But it cleared out everything that was in your way, threw it out the fucking back door, and opened space for the new to come in, right?
It's like a woman giving birth. Through those contractions, there's expansion, right? And through every painful contraction, you're closer and closer to that point of birth, to that point of rebirth, Whether in any point in your life, if we go through these times of massive contraction where you feel so contracted, so resistant, so lost, so uncertain, so unfulfilled, right? All of these negative shit coming up in your head, all of the fucking heavy emotion that you have to purge, all of the shit breaking down in the 3D, contraction after contraction after contraction. And then once you finally kind of, have that final push from the universe, there's that moment of relief. And then there's that blessing on the other side, right? Where the mother is her child. She gets to hold her child for the first time. She gets to have new experiences. When that child comes into this world, she's never the same after that. She's never the same person. And she can never go back to the life that she once lived or the person that she once was.
Beautiful, baby.
Thank you. So, we've already been talking about this a little bit, but I guess just to make it specific, the spark and interest. A spark of interest and drive to study or research the spiritual and metaphysical world. So for both of us, we got into tarot. That was like one of our main entry points to the spiritual journey.
So after my dark night of the soul, or in the middle of it, right, I started awakening to, and people started coming to me that could help. And it's funny how spirit works that way. Once you've cleared out the shit, you have more room for the new to come in, right? So I met up with Nick and Dove of Twin Flame Revolution, and how I knew them was through how much love they emitted through the screen on YouTube. And it hit me right here. And I signed up and I got into their Facebook, and I was at every single video, and I was shining my light in the comment section,
Right.
blowing up, and they recognized me. Like, I know that. And Nick really picked me out of the bunch, and she was like, wow, that little light of mine, I know that light. And they so through the darkness and these things, I'm watching them, and I'm really getting inspired, because I'm finding that the twin flame journey is all about unconditional love and spreading that message and raising souls up and giving them the space to do these things. And that was me. So I started really digging into, okay, I'm in my depths already. I might as well rip my heart out, dissect it, put it back together, blow it off, give it a kiss, stick it back in, and find out what within me and my past was really eating away at me and holding me in this lower vibration, right? So I manifest like a motherfucker. And I manifested a soul realignment with Nick and Dove. It was a big investment. And I was like, I don't know, that's a big investment. I don't know if I can do this. And then whatever. I put half down, trusted in spirit. And then another day later, I was like, you know what? Whatever. Slapped it on the card. By the end of the week, that money just came, and it paid off the card. And I was like, okay, here we go. 21 days followed by a 3-hour activation and clearing. And that set me right on my journey. Like, I felt clean, and all the past lives that were holding me back and the templates that weren't really serving me at the time were released and cleared from my Akashic records. And I set out on the journey. Now, synchronicities were popping off left and right because I was watching tarot, and a lot of you do. And because it's like, oh my God, this person told me my story, and they don't even know me. And then the next tarot, it's the same thing. And the next tarot, the same thing. So I kind of became a little obsessive over tarot. But at the same time, I was learning what the cards meant. I was learning, right, through whatever means of like what tarot was about and how these messages rang true to me from someone on the other side of the world that doesn't even know me, from a rock on the ground. And that was aligning me to, more people and tribes starting to come in. And it was a beautiful thing because I learned a piece of spirituality from each of them, and they would also give me hints and signs and synchronicities to follow as well, like getting into tarot.
Right. So it's like you meet one person randomly, divinely guided. You meet someone, right? Like Danny, he met Nick and Dove. And then he's inspired by Nick and Dove to get a soul realignment, right? And then he's watching tarot and he meets Mike. And Mike inspires him to research tarot, to be a tarot reader himself. So it's like the signs here is these random, divinely guided meetings of people that come into your life that inspire you to go on different avenues of research, of study, of learning, right? That's a big part of the beginning of the twin flame journey, is really learning to perceive reality differently, learning how to nurture yourself differently, learning how to be human differently.
Learning to stay in tune with the subtleties was a huge thing. Because even with Mike, I met Rambling Mike. I got a reading from him. It went way over. And he was like, why aren't you doing tarot? Like, you pretty much read all these cards before I even had my say in them and stuff. And then like a month later, I had a friend talk to me and say, Mike's been asking, where are you? Like, he thinks you're his friend. And I'm like, what? Mike thinks I'm his friend? Shit. Out of nowhere, right? So we became really close friends. And I said, dude, I'm going to do it. I'm going to hit record, and I'm going to put that video out there and start this channel, Northern Comfort Tarot. And if I didn't really stay in tune with the subtleties of that, you know what I mean? If I was like, well, Mike, I'm okay. Mike lives how far away or whatever. If I didn't even honor that relationship or honor any of the relationships before that, to that one relationship where she told me, well, I've been talking to Mike and Mike really misses you and he doesn't know why you don't call him anymore. And okay, that wouldn't have set me on the path to find Brooke.
Right, and you didn't even realize that he felt that way about you, right? Like you kind of at that time saw him as like a superstar, and you were just one of another person that he gave a reading to.
Pretty much.
But you also, in that moment, you felt that soul connection.
There was a soul connection,
and that was that subtlety, right?
Right, and
yes.
if Spirit didn't awaken me to that by means of another person, maybe I wouldn't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I stayed in the subtlety when that person was speaking to me, even still. And then, so yeah, the subtleties are the keys to the kingdom. And you really need, if there's any kind of advice that comes out of, this piece, it's really stay tuned to the little things that pop off, because they're little hints that Spirit gives you.
Yep.
And that cracks open the kingdom.
And it's also an initiation into your spiritual authority. Because to become the twin flame that you feel like you're being called to become, to be able to step into that authoritative position, to be able to step in to that mastery, the number one key is awareness. And awareness is realizing, acknowledging, and honoring those subtleties, right? So the beginning, the signs that you're stepping into that deeper purpose in your life is when you begin to take the time to acknowledge your own thoughts, right? Your thoughts create your reality, and we're talking about the sparks of interest that drive you to study or research the spiritual and metaphysical world. One of the teachings that I learned at that time was that my thoughts create my reality, and that sent me into it sent me into so much discovery about myself, so much illumination to how this matrix works and the power that I hold, right? At first, it was like, my thoughts create my reality. And then that turned into, I am the creator of my reality. Like it sets in and you're like, I'm sovereign. I get to choose my experience. I get to be free. I get to be free in this world where there's so much distortion, so much manipulation, so much control, so much separation. I get to be the bridge of unity consciousness. I get to be neutrality. I get to be free, not because of my circumstances, but because of my internal state of being, because I get to choose my thoughts. I get to choose how I process my emotions. I get to choose how I behave. Therefore, I get to choose whether I am set free or whether I choose to remain bind and bound to negative shit in my head, bind and bound to negative shit and toxic, poisonous emotions. I get to choose those things. So when it comes to these teachings, it can be something that small, your thoughts create your reality, that sends you down this rabbit hole of expansion and research and awakening to deeper truths of that one truth.
And if you don't know where to go, where I started was my past and my ancestral roots. I have First Nation Native American within me. And I went there, and even that invitation of like, hey, I went through a breakup. My life was a mess. This spiritual elder came to me. He was sitting right beside me in class. I didn't even know he was an elder. He's like, oh, so your life fucking sucks? And I was like, yeah, I'm going through some shit. He's like, well, why don't you come to my men's circle that I run? You know what I mean?
There you go.
I joined a drumming circle. I went into sweat lodges. I did ceremony. I even did a puberty fast on a mountain for 3 days with no water or food. And
beautiful.
And that set me on the journey. And then I found my friend that became my ex. She was into holistic medicine. I got to learn about nature and how it heals and the healing powers within nature and plants and stuff like that. And so it was just building a mass of this spirituality within me that was always there, right? And then,
It's literally like you go on this journey of learning how to truly be human.
and even if you don't have much in your past, what really cracked me wide open in the beginnings of that was going for walks in nature and asking spirit questions,
Me too.
and then allowing that pause for the answers to come. And the answers came. And we'd talk, like I'd walk for a couple hours, and we'd talk back and forth, and spirit would show me the different keys,
Teachings.
and teachings that really made sense. And I don't know where they were coming from, but there's obviously something there that's revealing these things to me. And that helps me stay in the subtleties of life too. So that was like,
right? And
mind-blowing.
then what's even cooler is you get these sparks of interest, right? Danny's talking about going outside and talking to spirit, and spirit gives them these downloads of information, of sacred knowledge, sacred wisdom. And then guess what happens? Then he finds a book with all of these teachings that spirit's given him. No expectations. Don't take things personally. You know what I mean? What is it? The 4 agreements. Danny shared the book, the 4 agreements with me. And he's seeing in front of him a beautiful synchronicity where spirit's already told him these things, but now he's seeing it. There's other people that know about these things. There's other people that are inspired by the wisdom that spirit has to offer, that are acting from that place.
And it's ancient wisdom, you know what I mean? But seeing it in book form or tangible form, or through another soul on the other side of the world that has, practices these things, you're like, well,
it's incredible.
Isn't that amazing?
Right?
Like whoever, whatever I'm talking to that's talking me back and giving me the answers, synchronistically was validated by someone else somewhere else.
Yep.
And that blew my mind. Not to mention the words that Nick and Dove would speak, or the teachings that Mike would talk about, or it didn't matter, or Jessica even. Like I'm gonna name drop Whispers of Grace. Jessica was huge at like, oh my God, I'm not the only person. I feel loved and surrounded by the image of me, and even tribe coming in, these
family.
random people, this soul family coming in to hold me, and honor me for even the baby steps that I was doing through Northern Comfort Tarot. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
and beautiful.
When it comes to that point, so it's like you go through the breakdown, right? The destruction of everything that was. You can't come back. You can't go back. Let's say it that way. You can't go back to the way life was before.
That shit's burnt to the ground.
And then, you start having these meetings where you're meeting people, you're having these opportunities, you're researching things, right? You're learning the laws of the universe. You're learning reincarnation. You're learning about past lives. You're learning about psychic abilities. You're learning about healing, different healing modalities. You're learning about energy work, magic, Reiki, crystals. You start doing stuff on the full moons and the new moons, right? And it's just like that. You go from just this dark night of the soul, hopeless, lost, to implementing these little things, to studying these little things. And it gives you all of this inspiration to keep going. So not only are you learning these tools, these teachings, you're meeting these people, but you're also going through this initiation to step into the highest version of yourself, to step into your higher self, to step into the reality that is for your highest good, right? Not only are you learning these things and having these experiences, but it's also that point in your journey where you're learning how to rely upon yourself, where you're learning that the only person, the only energy that has any say over what your life looks like and how you feel about it is you. So you're stepping into really being the creator of your reality step by step by step, right? And you're not quite out of that dark night of the soul. But even though you're still navigating those dark waters, navigating that shadow self, even though you're still clearing out the limiting belief systems, still clearing out the toxic, poisonous emotions, still letting go of the negative, hurtful behavior, you're able to do that with a little more stability, because Spirit has, yes, taking all these things away, but they've been replaced with people, places, and tools that really assist you in nurturing yourself more efficiently, in creating your reality more integrally, and in showing up in honor of yourself and all that is. Showing up in an energy of unity where you don't see other people as separate from you, but we are all one, flowing with one mission, one purpose, right? And when you get to that part of the journey, right after you've gone through the awakening, you've gone through the breakdown, you're starting to get into, the tarot, you're getting into the twin flame journey, you're learning about all these different metaphysical things and spirituality. And then, what do y'all think happens? Probably another breakdown, but but we'll leave that for another time. There's so much, you guys. There's so much. How I would describe the twin flame journey is the most simple and complex thing that has ever existed in human life, because it's like the teachings and the mission is unity, right? Oneness, compassion, love, forgiveness, trust, consistency, right? Fundamentals. It's that easy. It's who we are truly, is love, compassion, right? Think about Jesus. That's who we are, but it's not who we've been. And, the purpose of the twin flame journey is to collapse all of that shit so that we can emerge our true essence of who we are. But why it's so complex at the same time is because when you actually start to merge or marry that old life with the new structures, you are collapsing the old structures and you're bringing in these new teachings. What makes it so hard is because the contraction that happens, the breakdown that happens, right?
If anything, the who we were adds to the complexity instead of stepping into flow. And that's why the shedding of who we were, allows us to step more into flow and allows the abundance on the journey to flow effortlessly towards you. Mm-hmm. And even there was a point in my journey with tarot that I was like, Spirit, I stepped up. This is 4 months in. Where are the views? Where are the subscribers? And that night, Leo jumped, and I got 1,500 views that night on Leo. And that was another synchronicity and sign. And not very long after that, because I was, okay, well, I'm good with you, Spirit. Okay, you show me some shit. Brooke came in. And the big piece of that was and we'll speak more of this, was the letting go, letting go of who I thought my twin flame was, when that was going to happen, and focusing on the why, which was mission, which was stepping into my power and getting into flow, to allow the universe to usher her in and usher all the abundance that was coming to us and me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when you start to break those things down, even on an individual level, you break down all the junk, all the baggage, to rebirth yourself, to give yourself what you really deserve. No matter what you've done, you're worthy of love, right? No matter what you've done in the past, what you've been through, you're still worthy of love and having a life that is fulfilling. It happens on a collective level as well, right? So in the beginning of your journey, you see all of this massive breakdown externally, but then you do get to a point where all of that breakdown is kind of happening internally. But you get these tools, right? You get these people, you get the inspiration to keep going. And as you do that, as within, so without, as above, so below, every step that you take in anchoring in your true self, anchoring in that love, it ripples out and it literally changes everything for everyone. So with that being said, I want to honor you. If you are on this journey, if you resonate with this video, I see you, I hear you, and thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment, because we know how challenging it is. And I love you guys.
There is so much more shit that we can drop on you to give you the synchronicities and the signs, right? But you might be on a twin flame journey if you gone through some of these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you truly resonate with the journey, right? You don't have to resonate with the one that you might think is a twin flame journey because they're fucking acting like a fool.
We ain't getting into that now.
We ain't getting into that. Maybe another episode. But and we'll put the link to that episode up here when it comes out. But yeah, no, if you resonate with being on the journey, okay, hold true to that and get step in the flow, baby. And everything will come to you.
Yes.
So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up to help this message get out to other souls that are really, on the same journey and they're craving for that info. Drop a comment down below. I mean, you can write your entire life story down there. We're really interested and love to read all those comments. If you'd like to bless us, all the information is down below. And you can visit the Empire of Neutrality at empireofneutrality.com to see, what services and stuff that we provide. And there's all kinds of good.
Yes,
Check out the blog. She likes to drop some truths in there for you guys too, channel messages and stuff.
All right. See you guys later. Much love.
Namaste.